What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ. This is Out of Bounds, and in today's video, we're going back to the NBA board over on PrizePicks and the various sports betting websites to look at single stat player props. We're talking real life points, assists, rebounds, and 3-point makes in today's video. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely stay tuned. Now, I have some exciting news to announce. Our YouTube channel is on its way to 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate all the support you guys have been showing, but there's still about 50% of you out there who tune into the channel, watch these videos, and have not subscribed yet. So if you're in the club of those who have not subscribed, make sure right now that you are subscribed and that your notifications are turned on. I'm dropping videos at least 5 days a week, maybe even more, sometimes on the weekend. So definitely hit subscribe. I didn't think it was possible, but there's a good chance we hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. That would be amazing. And I would probably just like flip my lid if that happened. So I appreciate all your support. Now, yesterday's video, we had some hits, but we definitely had some misses. But today I'm feeling pretty confident. We got a smaller slate, allows us to kind of focus in and hopefully land on some very good picks for you today. So let's get into some of the injury news real quick. I didn't see a whole lot of it when I was scanning before starting the recording today, but the first one that you see here is Marc Gasol, who's dealing with a finger injury. He is questionable for the Lakers on Thursday. Now, they may not try and rush him, force him into playing tonight, because I don't know if you've heard, but Anthony Davis is set to return for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. It's been a long time since we've seen the Brow out on the court for LA, but sounds like he's going to return in a limited capacity, not playing a ton of minutes, but we should get AD back for Los Angeles tonight. So that's a big boost for them. Some other important news here. My Orlando Magic, Terrence Ross is dealing with a back injury. He's questionable for Orlando Thursday. Again, this is another situation where I don't think that they're going to look to rush him back. If you haven't heard, we traded away all of our veterans. We've got a bunch of young guys on the team. I think that Coach Cliff wants to evaluate some of this young talent and let them get as much run and as much experience as possible. So I don't expect a veteran like Terrence Ross to be forced into action if he's not 100% ready to come back. So that's just my take on the situation. Let's move along here, see if there's any other impactful news for Thursday, which is today, and I'm not really seeing anything. A lot of this pertains to yesterday's NBA slate, which we had a ton of injury news and games. It was a 12-game slate, but yeah, not really seeing anything else that stands out to me in terms of impactful injury-related news or anything like that. So let's go ahead and just get right into some of these player props. We've got points, assists, rebounds, and some 3-point makes for you today. So let's start things off here with points. The first guy I want to talk about is for the New Orleans Pelicans. We're talking swingman Brandon Ingram, and he's taking on the Orlando Magic tonight. That game tips off at 7:10 p.m. Pretty cush matchup here for Brandon Ingram and the New Orleans Pelicans. Like I said, Orlando just hasn't been all that great here in the last few games, and I like this spot here for Brandon Ingram to potentially go over 23.5 real life points. So let's take a look at the totals real quick. You can see that this game is implied for 221 actual points. And Orlando is an 8.5 point home underdog, meaning that this is an 8.5 point spread. So yes, there is blowout risk. Yes, there's a potential here for this game to get out of hand, and maybe Brandon Ingram doesn't get run late into this game. Maybe he gets a little bit of shortened workload tonight because of the potential blowout. But what we have to do is cross our fingers and hope that Brandon Ingram is a major reason why the Orlando Magic get blown out. So I'm liking the way things are shaping up so far here for Brandon Ingram. So let's take a look here. We'll type in Ingram's name on numberfire.com, who offers free fantasy projections as well as single stat projections. So we're going to be using them as a reference site today. And you can see that he is projected for 24.1 actual points, putting him over tonight's projection on PrizePicks of 23.5. Now, I say PrizePicks, but this projection here of 23.5 is also what they have him at on all the various sports books out there. So if you don't play on PrizePicks, well, you could use the promo code down in the banner on the bottom of this video, and you could sign up for PrizePicks if you haven't yet. But if you don't and you have sports betting and it's legal in your state, well, go out and possibly play Brandon Ingram here on these points. Let's take a look and do some more research. We're going to go to NBA.com/players. They've got a pretty robust statistic tool there that we can use. And we do a search for Brandon Ingram, and you can see that on his player card, he is averaging 24.2 points per game. So again, the over on Brandon Ingram at 23.5 is looking pretty good. So we click the stats tab, we click traditional splits, we click advanced filters. And this is a key little tool here. So changing the season segment from all games and just looking at his last 5 games and clicking run, we can get a more recent sample size of how Brandon Ingram's been scoring the basketball. Now, he's appeared in all 5 of those games, averaging over 36 minutes per game. And in that time span, he is putting up 28.4 points per game, which is a few points higher than where he's been scoring the basketball for the season. So I'm loving the way that this thing is looking. His points are trending upward, and that is exactly what we want to see when we're looking at target and over on a player like Brandon Ingram and these points. Now, the last site that we're going to look at is rotowire.com. RotoWire's got a NBA player prop board where it takes the 4 most popular sports betting websites, puts them side by side for you, lets you take a look and see how all the action is flowing on any NBA player prop that you want. So we're going to type in Brandon Ingram's name, and you can see it comes right up here. And at 23.5 points on DraftKings Sportsbook, he is a big -141 to go over that number. So that is a good start here for Brandon Ingram. And if you see FanDuel Sportsbook, they got him at a -116. Again, looking like a big favorite to go over. BetMGM 23.5, -133 there for the over. And finally, PointsBet wrapping things up. They've got him at -125. So he is again, strong favorite here to go over 23.5 points. So the only thing that is a knock against Brandon Ingram today is the risk of a blowout in this game. The totals are okay, not great, but good, pretty good enough, I would say. Working in his favor is the fact that he has been averaging over 23.5 points for the season, and even better in his last 5 games, his average goes up to over 28 points per game in his last few games. And the fact that every sports book that we've referenced in today's video has him going over, according to how the juice or the action is flowing on Brandon Ingram and this point prop. So I'm sticking with it. I love this play. I think this is a super strong way to go here. Brandon Ingram over 23.5 points. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is someone we haven't talked a whole lot about on the channel, but welcome to Out of Bounds, Brook Lopez. 10.5 points is his prop today. He's facing the Philadelphia 76ers. This game's going to tip off at 7:20 p.m. A little bit of a weird or different start time here for this game. Normally it's like either 7 o'clock or 7:10 or 7:30 or 7:40. But 7:20, a little different here. Anyway, 10.5 points. I think that there is a chance that possibly, maybe Brook Lopez goes over this point prop. So let's start things off here by looking at the game totals. Now you're seeing 225 points. So that's a pretty good total there. Milwaukee is an 8-point favorite, meaning that the spread on this game is quite large. 8 points is, running into that blowout risk, blowout territory. So a little bit of hesitancy from me in taking Brook Lopez or anybody from this game. In the case that this does blow out, maybe he doesn't see quite as many minutes as he normally would. So now that we know what to look for in terms of this game total and spread, let's move down and look at his points projection, where he's at 11.1 today, meaning that's an over on 10.5. We need him to score 11 or more points here. So far, that is looking good. Let's move over to NBA.com. We'll type in Brook Lopez's name, and I'm showing you guys how to do all this stuff for free. These sites don't cost you a penny. All they cost you is a little bit of your time. Now, if you don't have time to do this, well, no worries. That's why I put these videos together. If you want even more out of me than what I can pack into a 30-minute video on YouTube, well, I offer a Patreon option where you could go and be a member of our Patreon community. $20 a month. I go above and beyond and go in the in depth basically on all these player props and these stats. So if you want even more from me than you get on YouTube, well, there's a way you can get it. Check out the Patreon down in the description of this video below. All right, so for the season, 11.7 points per game. That is much higher than 10.5, 1.2 points higher than this 10.5 points here. So that is looking good so far. Projections are in our favor. His season averages are also in our favor. So let's go and take a look at his last 5 games and see how those are shaping up here. We hope that his scoring is going up and not going down if we're looking to take the over on Brook Lopez today. And what do you know? He's appeared in 5 of the last 5 games, and his scoring average is on the up and up here, guys. 14 points per game in his last 5 games. So things are trending upwards for Brook Lopez, which is exactly what we want in this game. So that is looking great. Now, the last thing we're going to do here is look at Brook Lopez on RotoWire and see if there's any props out there on these sports books. Now, you can see DraftKings does not have a points prop up for Brolo, nor does FanDuel. So we got to look at BetMGM, and they've got him at minus 128 to go over 10.5 points. So that is shaping up to be quite nice. And even better here, PointsBet at 10.5 points, they've got him going for a minus 130 right now. So the juice is definitely on the over according to the Vegas sports books. So I'm sticking with it. I don't see anything that's knocking me off of going over on Brook Lopez at 10.5 real life points tonight. Let's do it. All right, I didn't have a ton of assist props, but I made up with the lack of assist props with an extra rebound prop for you. So we're going to do 1 assist prop, but I'm going to make up for it with 3 rebound props instead of 2. So let's go ahead and get into that real quick. The assist prop that I liked early on today was Chris Middleton, again, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. 4.5 assists did not seem like quite enough assists for Chris Middleton. So I'm looking to take the over here. I think that they're a little bit underweight is PrizePicks on this assist prop. So let's move back to number fire. We'll click the assist column, and you can see it highlights this pretty yellow, so it stands out for us, makes it easy to find. And we'll type in Chris Middleton's first name since he has a unique spelling on Chris. And you can see that today's projection for his assists are at 5.2, which is good because at 4.5 assists, if we're looking to take the over, we need 5 dimes or more. Now, 5 dimes, that's 50 cents. And I'm no G, but man, this is looking good. G you not. Let's move on to the NBA.com page here. We'll type in Chris Middleton's name. And on his season averages for the assists, you can see that they are much higher than 4.5, which is today's prop or projection over on PrizePicks and the various sports books. So at 5.6 assists, guys, the over is still looking like the way to go here on Middleton. Loving that. Let's click his stats column here. We'll click the traditional splits, advanced filters, change the season segment around to last 5 games and see how well he's been dishing out those dimes in his last 5 games. And his assist number is actually on the rise here, which is a great thing. We want to see it trending upward, especially if we're looking to take the over today. And at 6.8 assists, it is doing just that. The over is looking like a very, very good way to go. Now, last but not least, there's a little bar here. You're not going to be able to see it on your screen, but trust me, it's there. When you go to RotoWire's player prop page for NBA, click that little button down at the bottom that says AST. That means assists. We can type in Chris Middleton's name, and up comes the player props for him. Now, at 4.5 assists on DraftKings Sportsbook, he is a minus 120 to go over, so that is a great start. An even stronger position being taken over on FanDuel Sportsbook, a minus 130 to go over there. BetMGM, they got him at 4.5, minus 118 there. And finally, not really seeing any over or under action here. Not really a position being taken by any of the bettors over on PointsBet. But anyway, 3 out of the 4 sites, they like Chris Middleton to go over 4.5 assists. He's averaged more than that for the season. He's averaged more than that in his last 5 games. And I like the way that the game totals are looking here. So I'm sticking with it. I like Chris Middleton over this 4.5 assist number today. Now, while we're talking Chris Middleton, I'm going to move over to rebounds real quick because I like Chris Middleton to go over 5.5 rebounds today as well. I don't think that they're high enough on Chris Middleton across the board in this matchup. I don't like his points, but the other stats, assists and rebounds, are looking pretty nice today. So let's talk Chris Middleton and these rebounds real quick. Middleton, he's at 5.5 boards. We're going to take a look at the projections for him over on Number Fire. So let's go ahead and type his name in, and there you go. 5.6 rebounds is his projection for today. Now, you got to think about it like this. You got 5 rebounds here, 6 rebounds there. Now, 5.6 means that he is leaning closer to being on the 6 side of things, which is exactly where we want him to be, especially if we're looking to take the over here. So that is a good start. I would say a good start. Yeah, I wish it was a little bit of a higher projection, closer to 6, but 5.6, I'll take that. That's enough of an edge for me to keep going here. So we've already got Khris Middleton's name pulled up here. Let's change this from 5 games to all games real quick because I want to see how his season averages are looking. And you can see that for the season, he is averaging 6.1 rebounds per game, which is exactly what we want. We want 6 rebounds or more in tonight's matchup. So we'll change that from all games, move it to the last 5 games, hit run, and his rebounds are also trending in the right direction. His rebounds are going up. 7.4 rebounds per game in his last 5 games. So things again are looking very good here for a Khris Middleton over on these rebounds. So we're going to click the rebound button here on RotoWire. We will type in Mr. Middleton's name. And at 5.5 boards on DraftKings Sportsbook, we're not really seeing any action over or under there. We're at a tie. Now on FanDuel, slight favor to the over at -112. BetMGM, an even bigger position being taken by bettors there, -120 on the over. And last but not least, PointsBet at 5.5 boards, a -120 there. So once again, guys, this is looking like everything is aligning here for Khris Middleton to get at least 6 rebounds, maybe even more in tonight's matchup. So I'm sticking with that. Khris Middleton over 5.5 boards. All right, we're going to go back to that Orlando-New Orleans game, and I want to talk Chuma Okeke. 4.5 rebounds. I don't know if that's quite enough. I know that their front court is healthy. Mo Bamba's there. Obviously, Wendell Carter Jr. is having a pretty good season since joining the Orlando Magic. So things might be a little cramped, might be a little clogged there at the forward center position. But I think Chuma Okeke, especially if Terrence Ross is out, will step into some more minutes and could potentially go over 4.5 rebounds. So let's dig into it and see if that is going to make any sense here. So we're going to type in Okeke's name, very unique name. And at 5.1 rebounds, that puts him over 4.5, meaning he can get at least 5 rebounds or more tonight, according to the Number Fire projections. So that is a good start here for an over on Okeke. Let's do a little search for him on NBA.com. And up comes his player card. And for the season, he is averaging 4 rebounds per game. Now, he missed a lot of time to start the season, so this sample size might be a little bit, skewed, I guess you could say, especially since they made all those trades and now he's into more minutes and stuff. So we got to look at his last 5 games to get down to the brass tacks of everything here and see what's really what. So let's do that. We'll change the season segment to last 5 games. Click run it. And you can see that in his last 5 games, his boards are just at 4 rebounds per game in his last 4, which is right in line with where he's been rebounding the ball for his season averages. So maybe that's a little bit of a red flag here, and the over isn't the way to go on Chuma Okeke. Let's go and see if there's a player prop out there for him on the sports books and see if the juice is going over or under on this prop. Now, good start here. DraftKings Sportsbook has him at -139 to go over 4.5, meaning they think he'll get 5 or more boards. Same thing with FanDuel, -130 on the over. An even stronger play here over on BetMGM, -143 on the over. And things keep getting better and better for Chuma Okeke on this over 4.5 boards. He is a -150 on PointsBet. Very, very high number there. So I'll say this. Vegas seems to think that he's going to go over 4.5 boards. Usually that's a pretty good telltale sign that he will. The projections, they also think that he's going to go over 4.5 boards, but his averages are the thing that is holding me back from feeling super confident that he will go over. He's just got 4 rebounds per game in his last 5 games and 4 rebounds per game in his season average. So it's a little bit of a risk here, but gun to head with a decision having to be made here for you guys, I think I would favor the way things are looking for an over on Chuma Okeke and take the over on this prop. So there you have it. Now, Nikola Vujovic, no longer with the Orlando Magic. In case you haven't heard, he is now a Chicago Bull. We're going to talk about his rebounds once again today. I think we discussed him in yesterday's video, and if you played the under on his rebounds, well, it ended up hitting. That was one of our hits from yesterday's video. Now, today he's at 10.5 boards yet again, so we're going to try and see if going over on Nikola Vujovic might make a little bit more sense. First thing we want to do is take a look at this matchup. Chicago is taking on Charlotte tonight. So let's look at the game totals and see how those are looking along with the spread. Now there's only 210.5 implied points on this game, which isn't a whole lot, to be honest with you. That's a pretty low total, but Chicago is just a 1-point favorite at home, meaning this game's going to stay close and competitive, and that Nikola Vujovic should get plenty of run here and play all 4 quarters and a full complement of minutes. So knowing what we know now about the game, we can move on here and look at his projection for rebounds, and he is at 10.7 boards. So that is slightly higher than the 10.5 that they have him at on PrizePicks and the various sports betting websites. So far, the over is looking like the first step in the right direction for Nikola Vujovic tonight. Let's type his name in here on NBA.com. We will open up a new tab, and his player card comes up, and as I mentioned, every time I talk about Vujovic, his rebounds are at 11.2 rebounds per game, but many of those games were with the Orlando Magic. So let's dig into his last 5 game logs. We'll get a better idea of how he's been doing with the Chicago Bulls. So we'll click traditional splits, change this from all games to 5 games, click run, and as that's loading here, it's taking its sweet time. Maybe he's been rebounding better than we thought. He's appeared in all 5 of his last 5 games, playing nearly 33 minutes per game. And in that time span, 10.2 rebounds. So yes, that's over 10 rebounds, but no, it is not over 10.5 rebounds. We need him to be closer to 11 to feel a little bit more confident. So this is good, a good sign, but not great. Not great, not going to lie to you. Now let's go over to RotoWire and see if there's any props out there for Vujovic on these various sites. Well, DraftKings, they don't have a rebound prop up for him, but the other 3 do. And FanDuel at 10.5 boards, he is a -120 for the over. BetMGM at 10.5 boards, -125 over. And finally, PointsBet at 10.5 boards, he is a -120 over there. So the 3 sports books that we do reference or can reference, they all have him going over slightly here at 10.5 boards. Season averages are looking good. They are over 10.5 boards. His last 5 games, though, coming up a little bit short at just 10.2 rebounds, which is less than 10.5. We need him to pull down at least 11 boards tonight if we're looking to target the over here. And then finally, his projections, they were over 10.5, closer to that 11 mark. So I'm going to say I'll stick to it. I know the game totals are pretty low, but Charlotte, they're not the greatest team, their strongest team in terms of their front court. I think Vujovic has a pretty favorable matchup here, and I really don't see any Hornets big men getting in Nikola Vucevic's way in this rebound prop of 10.5 boards. So I'm taking the over there on Vuj. Now, to wrap this video up, we are going to talk a couple of 3-point props for you today. And the first one is going to be Jrue Holiday of the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, they're taking on Philadelphia tonight. Philadelphia might be without a couple of their main guys, so I think this matchup is a softer, juicier, more friendly matchup for Jrue Holiday. He's at 1.5 3-point makes today. Let's see if maybe going over here on Jrue Holiday is the way to go. So we don't have any projections for his 3-point props on Number Fire, so we're just going to dig into some of his season averages, his last 5 game averages, and see if we could formulate an opinion on Jrue Holiday and how he's been shooting the ball from downtown. So we look at his season averages first. Now he's attempting just a shade under 5 3-point shots per game. And in those 5 attempts, he's making about 1.9, or we round it up and call it 2 3-point makes, which is exactly where we want him to be tonight, right? We want 2 3-point makes or more. So I'm liking the way that 1.9 3-point makes for the season is looking. Now let's look at his last 5 games and run that report real quick. All right, so his 3-point attempts are at 4 over his last 5 games, and he's making 50% of those. exactly 2 3-point makes on average in his last 5 games. So again, this is looking fantastic here. I think Jrue Holiday is shaping up for a nice overplay on this 1.5 3-point make. Now we're going to go down to the 3-point makes category here. We're going to type in Jrue Holiday's name, and you can see that he's got a prop up on DraftKings Sportsbook at 1.5 3-point makes. He is a big, massive minus 150 for the over. That is a great start for Jrue Holiday if we're looking to play the over. Same thing with FanDuel, a massive position being taken on the over on this 1.5 3-point makes number. 156. Looking great. And then finally, PointsBet, he is a minus 140 for the over there as well. Now I'm going to throw out a little bit of a narrative for you, for all you narrative street lovers. Jrue Holiday, former Philadelphia 76er. Do you think that he plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder when he faces off against his former team? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But guys, the way things are looking here, I'm taking the over on Jrue Holiday and these 1.5 3-point makes tonight. Now, the very last guy we're going to speak about is Lonzo Ball. This one might be a little more difficult to figure out. He's at 2.5 3-point makes tonight. New Orleans, again, taking on the Orlando Magic at 7:10 p.m. So let's start digging into Lonzo Ball's game averages and see how he's been shooting the basketball for the season. So we type his name in to NBA.com, click the stats link, move it on down, click traditional splits, move it on down. And you can see that for the season, he is attempting almost 8 3-pointers per game. That's a pretty high number, actually higher than I expected it to be. Now, on those 8 3-point attempts, he makes about 3 of them per game for the season. So that is pretty high. That's actually kind of surprising, not going to lie to you. Now, let's click the advanced numbers and look at his last 5 games here. In his last 5, his 3-point attempts are down to 6, and his 3-point makes are down to 1.3. So things are trending downward for Lonzo Ball in his last 5 games, in which he's appeared in 3 of those 5 games, and he's averaging about 24 minutes per game. So I like the fact that his 3-point numbers are going down. That is a good sign for us, especially if we're looking to take the under on Lonzo Ball here. So the last thing we're going to look at is RotoWire, of course, and we're going to type in Lonzo's name. And not a whole lot of 3-point props for him up on any of the sports books here. We actually don't have one for DraftKings. We don't have one for FanDuel, but we do have one for both BetMGM and PointsBet. And you can see that at 2.5 3-point makes on BetMGM, he is a minus 133 to go under. So that is looking very promising. Now, even better for us, PointsBet at 2.5 3-point makes has him at minus 134. So they are looking to take the under there. So I think that based on all the evidence that we've seen, his 3-point makes for the season, yes, they are higher than 2.5. They're at 3. But we look at those last 5 games and that sample size, and they are quite a bit lower. He's not even making 1.5 3-pointers per game over his last 5 games, in which he's appeared in 3 of those games. And then finally, the 2 sites that we can reference is in terms of sports books, both of them are taking a pretty solid, strong position on the under 2.5 3-point makes for Lonzo Ball. So there you have it, guys. I'm sticking with the under on Lonzo Ball. But what say you? Maybe there's somebody in today's video that you disagree with me on. Maybe all the numbers just don't jive with you. Let me know down in the comments section below. Who's one player or one prop that you're liking that maybe I talked about, maybe I didn't? Leave it down in the comments section below. You might be able to help me out or help somebody else in the community out with your suggestion or recommendation. I appreciate you guys tuning in. The like goal. Oh, I almost forgot the like goal for today's video. 32.5. I'm taking the over. You think you could top that? 33 or more likes? We'll see. You guys have been absolutely killing it, and I don't expect that to change today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is CJ for Out of Bounds. Good luck tonight, and until the next one, guys, peace.